Welcome to Triple Hero Threat. In Triple Hero Threat, you play as one of a team of 3 champions fighting against unending waves: the Titan, the Pixie, and the Hero. The Titan is a massive creature fighting equally massive foes. Such foes can rarely be truly defeated. It is much easier to disable them or seal them away. The Pixie is so minuscule that they can go inside of Titanic enemies to attack their magical nexus, causing them to shrink down to heroic size. On the inside of Titanic enemies, however, they will find minuscule enemies pouring out in waves from the Titanic nexus. The Pixie can use their fairy magic to confound and trick minuscule enemies, however, causing them to fall out of those Titanic enemies and become heroic size. The Hero is the only one of the champions who can permanently dispatch their foes, making them an invaluable member of the team. However, they can do very little to Titanic foes, and usually cannot interact with minuscule foes at all. Together they defend the Spire by gathering resources from defeated enemies and reshaping or reinforcing the terrain around them. There will be approximately 20 scenarios, each split into multiple waves with differing layouts, available resources, and enemy wave compositions. The target demographic is casual gamers, and our target platform is Steam. A diverse group of individuals use Steam every day, and we think that a unique tower defense game with short session times but a long main campaign is an underexplored niche. The first and primary mechanic is the ability to destroy the terrain. Each scenario has a different layout, but with effort the player can reshape the world to fit what they want to build. This can also be used to create choke points that influence enemy AI, but certain enemy types can destroy basic terrain as well. The inside of Titanic enemies can be reshaped, causing detriment to that enemy, such as impeding movement or restricting vision. Each player will also have the ability to change the scale of their enemies. The Titan can entrap their enemies in runic structures to cause them to shrink to heroic scale. The Pixie can outwit their enemies, causing them to fall out of the Titanic enemy they're in, which in turn then causes them to grow to heroic scale. The Hero has the power to, very rarely, cause an enemy to either shrink or grow. While this does not directly benefit the Hero, this can relieve some pressure by removing troublesome foes. Additionally, the player can collect resources from destroyed terrain and defeated enemies. These resources are finite within the level, and the player can only hold so much at a time. Enemies will also drop some resources that must be used immediately, such as health pickups or temporary power boosts. The Titan receives resources when they immobilize, trap, or shrink an enemy. The Pixie receives resources when they trick or grow an enemy. The Hero receives resources when they defeat an enemy in combat, either themselves or through a building that they've constructed. Each player can trade resources with a trader box that will appear between rounds. This trader will allow them to exchange resources for variable rates, as well as trade between themselves. Players will have different resources available to them, so they'll have to trade between themselves to maximize their effectiveness. The final mechanic, and the player's ultimate goal, is to defend both the spire of each scenario and the buildings that they have created. If the buildings get destroyed, they may find themselves quickly getting overwhelmed and having to fall back. If the spire is destroyed, they will no longer be able to collect or distribute resources, nor will they be able to respawn if they take too much damage. They might still be able to finish the scenario with what they have already built, but if the player takes enough damage to die, they will fail the scenario. The following are some gameplay mockups that represent various states throughout the game. While each piece is simple to understand, their interaction becomes quite complex, especially during later scenarios and later waves that have more and more difficult to fight enemies as well as differing resources. While our game compares favorably to other tower defense style games, it features the unique ability to completely destroy and reshape the terrain. Everything in our game can be destroyed, modified, or upgraded, giving our players an unparalleled sense of control. This has been Triple Hero Threat from Team Roundbox. Thank you. Developer's log. Our team's approach to changing our design was the first to tackle each new concept individually and brainstorm new ideas, then to try to combine them into a cohesive whole. One of the first ideas we had for implementing trading was to make a multiplayer version of our original design, with each player meeting up between waves to trade resources between waves, but ultimately being competitive, with only one player being the winner. That idea didn't work out so well. We came to a group consensus that competitive trading would become boring or unfun too quickly. It also didn't mesh too well with the new design we came up with, involving the Pixie, the Titan, and the Hero. Overall, we designed the gameplay to be mostly the same as our first draft, but the feel is totally different. Before, our game didn't have much of a theme or story, relying purely on gameplay to inform the game's design. Once we hit on the idea of the Titan, the Hero, and the Pixie, however, we had much more of a theme, and that informed a lot of our smaller decisions as well. Overall, now that we had a better theme, we felt the game felt more cohesive.